A lot of sellers don't leave money on the table because the market is weak. No, they leave money on the table because the strategy was wrong. Now, we've seen this time and time again, and I know it sounds blunt, but we've seen sellers with beautiful properties, great location, a strong buyer demand pool, but the pricing didn't match, the presentation was weak, the photos didn't stop the buyers, and the launch strategy was all wrong. And the sellers are left there wondering, well, when are we going to be reducing the price? In this video, we're going to be going over actually how to sell your house. And no, I'm not just going to be saying declutter it and lower the price. No, we're going to have a correct, proper framework. We're going to be covering 5 main topics. Number 1, pricing, of course, staging, photography, timing, and one that often goes overlooked, and that's marketing it above and beyond just the MLS. Now, for those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Alex Hughes with the North Pacific Homes Group here in Victoria. I'm an MLS Gold Award winner and Icon agent, and hopefully by the end of this video, you've got a solid understanding of the framework to get your home sold. Let's start with the most obvious one, and that's pricing. And that's where a lot of these listings succeed or fail. Now, when you hear the word CMA or comparative market analysis, you're probably thinking, well, we're just pulling a couple of comparables, which unfortunately some of us do. But a proper one goes so much further than that. Not only are we looking at what's recently sold and where your competitors are, but what didn't sell and where are buyers leaning towards when they have options. And that is an extremely important one not to be overlooked. The biggest pricing mistake we see is emotional pricing, and you'll hear people say, well, we need to make this amount because we put money into the kitchen, or we don't want to give it away, or we can start high and reduce later. And I totally understand this way of thinking. You've bought this property, you've maintained it, you've lived there, you've built memories there. But buyers are not pricing your memories. They're comparing it to everything else that's on the market. The start high and drop later strategy is one of the most expensive myths in real estate. Those first 10 to 14 days are crucial. That's when buyers have their alerts set up. It's when agents are selling or sending it over to their buyers. And it's when the market is dictating where you're at. Now, you can't get this excitement back even with a price reduction. Here's an example. We've got 2 properties, let's call it Gordon Head. Similar lot size, similar location, similar square footage, similar everything. Home A, market evaluation of 1.25, but they decide to list at 1.31 because they want to leave room to negotiate. Well, buyers come to the property, they get a couple of showings, but no offers. And buyers are feeling that's a little high for the neighborhood. So in a few weeks, they reduce the price. And now buyers are asking, why hasn't this home sold? Well, then here comes Home B. Same market evaluation, 1.25, but they list at 1.249. They got great photos, a great video, fantastic presentation, and a clear launching strategy. Home B launches correctly, they get immediate action, and they've created a sense of urgency. Same neighborhood, same buyer pool, but totally different outcomes. And this is the key point. Pricing isn't always just about being cheap. It's about being accurate enough to create confidence. Confident buyers act, while confused ones don't. Let's talk staging. And when people hear staging, they hear, well, we're gonna make the home pretty. And well, that is part of it, but that's not all of it. Staging helps buyers understand the home. When a buyer walks in, they're asking to themselves, where's my furniture gonna go? What's the layout gonna be like? Am I gonna feel calm and rested here? And if we can't answer those questions, we're gonna lose them. The 3 highest, in my opinion, staging ROIs are furniture scale, neutral palettes, and the entryway. A lot of homes will have furniture that works for the current owner, but not for the property itself, whether that's a massive sectional, too many accent chairs, a very heavy bedroom set. When buyers are walking through the property, generally saying this room is too small and not that the furniture is too big, and that's a very, very important distinction. The second is going to be the palette. Now, I'm not saying that you need to just create a white box. I would go as far as saying that people don't like that. People like warmth, they like character, they like a little natural texture, if you will. But we need to be intentional. And if we have too many different colors in separate rooms or too strong of a personality, buyers are gonna start judging your taste and not the home. The third is the entryway. Now, this is massively underrated in my opinion. It's the first access point to the home, and if it's cluttered with shoes or bags or dog leashes or whatever the case may be, it's gonna give a negative impression. But if it's nice and clean and organized, it's gonna get the showing off to the right foot. Staging depends on the style of home, of course. The Samuel McClure and Fairfield or Oak Bay are gonna be staged very differently than a newer, brighter, more modern home in maybe the West Shore. But we need to understand what our goals are here. And that's when we're walking through the property, we're gonna be having a look to see, do we need a fresh coat of paint? And if you're thinking about doing major renovations, we need to understand, are we solving a buyer issue here, or are we just trying to make more money? Because there's a lot of times we do renovations and you're not getting all of your money out of it. So we actually recommend to not do it, do a couple of touch-ups here or there. Now moving on to photography, and this is where sellers can lose buyers before they even knew they had buyers. The first time that they are seeing this home is online. Whether it's social media, whether it's YouTube, whether it's the MLS portal, whether it's Realtor.ca. So I don't understand why we'd even think about cheaping out on this. Good real estate photography is about composition, angles, flow, helping the buyer understand the property. So it's not just throwing up all the photos that you get, but you want to organize them in a way that guides them through the property. The best photos answer questions before the buyers even knew they had them. Does the living room, or how does the living room connect to the kitchen? Is the bedroom spacious? Is there a lot of natural light? Is there a view? All of these are taken into consideration, and I cannot stress it enough. Please, 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 never, never use your iPhone to take photos for your home that goes up on the listing. Should you always be using a drone? Not always, but it adds a lot of power in the right context. If you've got a waterfront home, maybe a big acreage backs onto a large wooded lot, or the surrounding area definitely needs to be part of the buying process, then yes, get the drone in there. If it's maybe more of a mid-block home in a city block that doesn't have that much surrounding it, we'll call it, then I don't think you really be needing to use it. And that's the difference between marketing tools and marketing strategy. Just because you have it doesn't necessarily mean you should be using it. For some homes, video is the most important. For others, maybe it's floor plans. Now, for the more complex homes, and whether you're targeting out of town buyers, and where we've been seeing success is we've been doing longer form property tours. And that's me walking around with my phone or with my camera. Yes, this is where I do use an iPhone, not for the actual photos, but for the video. And we do a little bit more of an in-depth and personal view of the property, so out-of-town buyers can actually get a strong understanding of how this property flows before they even step inside. The key is matching the strategy to the property. A downtown condo isn't the same as an Oak Bay heritage home, which is not the same as a North Saanich waterfront. Timing also matters more than what people think, and that's not just the month, that's going to be the day, the time, the showing windows. In Victoria, spring gets a lot of attention. I mean, it's beautiful out. The sun is shining, the flowers are coming out. But with the nicer weather, brings more competition, more listings, more noise. That's why I don't think that everybody should automatically be listing in spring. For us, when we're talking to our clients, we're trying to get ahead of that curve. Late January, February, that's when the serious buyers are keeping an eye on the market and watching, but you don't have all that competition. September can also be underrated. Summer is over, everybody's home from traveling, routines are reset, and buyers are beginning to look again that they didn't find early on in the year. That doesn't mean that these are the only months that we should be listing. At the end of the day, we have to understand, what property are we selling? Is it near a school? Is it a retirement area? Is it a waterfront? All of these properties will have very different marketing strategies and launch plans. Now let's talk about marketing above the MLS. But yes, MLS, it's essential, it's the foundation, but it's not a marketing plan. A proper listing strategy should include photos, floor plans, video when appropriate, social media distribution, email marketing, local agent networks, buyer distribution, and targeted ads to those specific buyer pools. This is where a lot of listings get too passive. It goes up on MLS, maybe there's a social media post thrown out, but then it goes silent. And at North Pacific Homes, we do things a little bit differently. We're thinking about buyer pools. Who's gonna buy this house? Is it a downsizer? Is it an upsizer? Are they coming from off island? All of these are taken into consideration to figure out your perfect buyer, what we call an avatar. Once we know who this avatar is, that's when the marketing becomes that much more specific. If we're selling a home in Gordon Head, we know that they're going to be focusing on the bedrooms, the commute time to UVic or maybe Mount Doug High School, If we've got a home down in Oak Bay, we're going to be talking about the prestige of Oak Bay, maybe the character or the history of the home. And if we've got a home, a waterfront property out in North Saanich, we're talking about the scarcity of this. Maybe it's got a deep water dock. What's the orientation and privacy of this property? So when your listing is marketed with an agent that does local content or local knowledge, has relocation clients, all of these will be in your benefit. If you're thinking about selling your home either this year or next year, maybe even a couple years, this is the strategy. The sellers who win are not ones that just throw a sign up on the lawn, take a couple of photos, and hope for buyers to come to them. They're the ones that treat the sale with a strategy. The pricing has to create confidence. The staging has to remove friction. The photography has to earn that click. The timing has to match the buyer pool, and you have to market it further than just MLS. That's how you sell in this market. Not by guessing, not by chasing the highest list price, not by using a strategy from a completely different home, but building the right strategy for your home, your neighborhood, your buyer pool. So if you are thinking about selling and you want a clear read on what your home is worth and what the right strategy looks like, our contact will be down below. We are always happy to have a chat. If you like this video, please give us a like. It helps us out immensely. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. We hope you learned something today, and thank you so much for watching.